Doing guys another video right here. This is a nice video I was thinking about doing. I really wish it was my car, but it's kind of still the same as of the 2 series. Now you got your M230i, and you got the M240i, and then you got the M2. Um, Now these is like good specs. The M2, well, the M240 is close to what I have. I have the 3 M40. That's what I drive. Well, they both had the B58 engines. I think slightly different how it's mounted in the engine bay, I think, or how it's rearranged or whatever like that. But it's the exact same engine, I believe. I believe that they have the exact same. 'Cause I know the M4040i has the B58 and it's the exact same as the 340, the M340, the exact same. So I'm guessing the 240i is the exact same components, like how it sits, like how the engine sits and everything, but I could be wrong. But we're gonna jump right into it. And just to answer the question, what should you buy? M2. If you have the money, like let's be for real, you have the money, you're getting the M2. Period. M2 has more power, way more performance. It's like it's the perfect spot. It's a fucking cheat code. It has the S58 engine in it. It's a cheat code. Why wouldn't you get it? Like why wouldn't you? I would love to get that car, but how my finances was set up, and like I got out of the Kia Stinger like because of a car accident I got, and I couldn't just jump into the M2 like right there then and there just because I was moving here into San Antonio, so it was kind of hard to do that. You know what I mean? Because it's like there's no way I can get that, get a house, get all the stuff from a house, furniture, chair, and all this other stuff, and still, you know what I mean, make payments and stuff like that. So I want to be comfortable, you know what I mean? So I don't want to just live paycheck by paycheck. Like I want to be comfortable. So that's one reason why I didn't get it. But my friend got it, and I love it. I love that color on that car. I'm more so for the black for the M2. I love the black or the gray. Maybe if they had a gray color. I like neutral colors, but the blue kind of stands out a little bit. I like the color, but it stands out, and I don't really like bright colors like that. I'm more of a neutral color guy. But let's jump into it. Let's see
Away
what's up.
today, G42 230i against a G42 M240i against a G87 M2. Now, at each step you go up, you add about $11,000. This 2023 BMW 230i had an MSRP of $46,000. The M240i goes for $57,000, and the M2 we have today is at $68,000. So you add $11,000 for each step. But the question is, how much more driving experience do you get, and which one should you buy? The 230i is powered by the B48 engine. That's a 2-liter inline-4, making 255 horsepower,
The B48. Hmm.
295 pound-feet of torque, made it to the ZF 8-speed automatic transmission. That is a torque converter. This is the lightest of the bunch, 300 pounds lighter actually. Both the M240i and the M2 are weighing in around 3,800 pounds, whereas this is lighter by 300 pounds, right around 3,500. All three cars, of course, share the same chassis, the McPherson strut, multi-link rear suspension geometry. An LSD was optional on the 230i, but this one does not have that optioned, so just an open diff. Whereas the M240i has the eLSD, the same one found in the Toyota Supra. And on this vehicle, we're running Michelin PS4 rubber 225 square.
One thing I would say, God damn, his fucking YouTube
The newer
days.
generation, digital.
Come on,
Love it or
move,
hate it,
dude.
that's what you
Goddamn.
get.
Okay. This one thing I hate about the new 2025s that's out for the BMWs, and I'm pretty sure other people can agree on this, is the gear shift. I hate that fucking gear shift. That gear shift is fucking trash. I don't know why BMW chose to use a little nodal like gear shift. Like it's like I don't like doing this when I mean I do when it whatever. Basically what I'm trying to say is I don't like doing this to the gear shift, like the shift gears and stuff like that, or just shifting. Like it's weird. Like they should have just kept the regular gear shift. Like I guess you can call it a handle. I guess in a way. I mean, I don't really know how you can like decipher it, but I like the old one better than that. That is just trash to me. I hate that.
In terms of drive modes, we're gonna put this into sport. Plus.
Entertainment system is
For
fire.
extra dynamic versus sport, which is just dynamic. We're gonna go to extra dynamic. And first impressions, this is a modern 2 Series, and that comes with both good things and bad things. The steering here is relatively digital, relatively numb. Has a little bit of feedback, but it's very subtle. B48 engine doesn't have the same power and pull, obviously, as the B58 of its M240i bigger brother. But that being said, with the smaller engine, the car is lighter, and it feels pretty nimble, actually. You have less weight over the front axle, and the front end is pretty responsive. Relatively sharp front end for this kind of vehicle as well. Not razor sharp, not hyper responsive, but very direct steering. Let's go toggle this into the sport mode. Manual shifting here. Let's go to first and give you a pull.
That's slow.
6,500 RPM redline. A pretty quiet engine. I'm sure that there's some digital noise being piped through the speakers. And because we have an open diff, we're not able to get this thing to rotate on power. Let's go back to these modes. Sport, individual, actually configure individual. So steering, drivetrain, and transmission are all in the sportiest setting. One thing you notice though is that the ZF 8-speed, when it comes to the B48 engine, for some reason they've tuned it in a way where it's not quite as sharp and immediate as in their 6-cylinder offerings when they pair it there with like the B58, for example. They go back into
it's probably not the sport version.
Auto.
Cars like this, it's kind of like when you look at. I'm sorry, I paused. I'm not trying to pause too much. But cars like this, when BMWs have cars like this, some of them I feel as though it's not performance cars. It's like in the middle. It's kind of like when you get. Don't get mad at me. Uh, it's kind of like when you get it. I'm not referring it to a Dodge, but let's just say when you get a Dodge and you get like a V6, like people like that because it's a little, I guess, a little peppy or like that. But you can still take off the mufflers and get that little raw, like strong tone from the engine and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But it's not like like a sport kind of car. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a family kind of combat car. But then you go into like the scat and stuff like that. That's when you start to see more of like the performance wise, which is, I mean, all them cars is trash. I'm not gonna lie, Dodge is trash. But when you look at the BMW, I see like when I was choosing the B58, like my 340 I got, I was looking at like how some of the tiers was, and I started seeing some of the tiers was like more like, yeah, you want to be a little speppy, you want to be a little fast, maybe you want a little something look a little more sporty that feels a little bit sporty, but you don't want to go all out kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? This is the car for you in a way because I'm looking at it and I'm hearing the engine. I'm looking at the miles per hour. I'm kind of counting in my head as I see him going up, and I think his 0 to 60 that I just saw was like 4 something, if I'm not mistaken, 4 or 5 something, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I was off a little, but that's what I was counting when I was looking at it about seconds. But entertainment system, fire. I like it. I love the dashboard. The dashboard, like his driving, that shit look nice, man. I like that. I wish I could upgrade to that for my car side. I wish I could just change it, just update, put that in there. Pretty sure you probably can.
Yeah, not. I mean, it's light on its toes and it's able to change direction pretty well, but it's not letting you throttle induce rotate it. And you don't have adaptive damper, so you just have this fixed setting. which I would say is a good, comfortable balance. It's going to be a little bit on the softer side if you want to do sportier driving, like canyon carving, but it's probably great driving around town. You get that comfort, and when you push it out here, you do want something a little bit firmer, but it's also not wallowy. It does take, oh, hello dear. It does take a moment for it to set though. And you can feel the body roll, which you might be able to see on camera as well.
How is it an equal though?
Now, even in the sportier setting, the steering is relatively light. The brakes are a bit soft. They do require a bit more travel.
It's a nice canyon. I'd love to go down there.
But you're getting good ride comfort. You're getting agility. Overall, a car that you can feel comfortable pushing in the canyons. It doesn't feel too twitchy. It's relatively planted. The power level is such that it encourages you to push the car hard. Although the engine here, right, it tends to die out a little bit towards redline. And I noticed even when I was driving it, let's say 4,000 or 5,000 RPM and getting on the throttle, there's still a bit of lag there. It takes a minute for the turbos to spool up.
One of them cars is just like in the middle.
Which you obviously expect at lower RPMs, but for that to be happening around 4 to 5K, I was not expecting that.
I want to know where he's at. That's a nice area to be in.
And now let's see what happens when you take a step up, $11,000 up to the M240i. Now it's time for the 2025 BMW G42 M240i rear-wheel drive. This has the exact same powertrain as in the Supra. So we're powered by the B58. That's a 3-liter inline-6 turbocharged, making 382 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque. Again, mated to the ZF 8-speed automatic transmission. Remember that this is heavier than the 230i. We're at 3,800 pounds. That's thanks to...
This guy is. Oh, hold up. You think you funny? You think you funny? You think you funny? If you know, he's trying to clown B58s. Okay.
Up to the M240i.
Okay.
Now it's time for the 2025 BMW.
Now, what I'm referring to is the engine cover. When you see it, you see it. If you know the BMW world, just the B58 world, you'll understand why.
BMW G42 M240i rear-wheel drive. This has the exact same powertrain as in the Supra. So we're powered by the B58. That's a 3-liter inline-6 turbocharged, making 382 horsepower.
He put the Supra engine cover on top of the B58. That is so disrespectful. That is so disrespectful, bro. That is so disrespectful. So the Supra and the BMW M340 or the 4040i or the M240i both had the same B58 engine in it. Same specs. I'm pretty sure across the board. I think it's like 386. Well, that's what BMW say it has. 386 horsepower on both of them across the board. I think the Super is a little lighter, obviously, because it's small, more compact and stuff like that. But it's just funny that he put that engine cover there. I didn't catch it. I'm like, whoa, wait, what? But
369 pound-feet of torque, again mated to the ZF 8-speed automatic transmission. Remember that this is heavier than the 230i. We're at 3,800 pounds. That's thanks to the extra 2 cylinders on the B58 versus the B48, as well as extra cooling in the front. Now, both the M240i and the M2 are weighing in around the same weight, around 3,800 pounds. This also has the same eLSD that's in the Supra. That's a clutch-based LSD controlled by the computer. And rather than the PS4s from the 230i, here we're on these Pirelli summer tires. Still a 225 section width in the front, but now a 255 section width in the rear, compared to the 225 square on the 230i.
that entertainment
Very
system. I
familiar
love
interior,
that.
although
I
we
wish
have
I
this
had that. That shit looks
flat bottom
so
steering wheel
nice.
and extra thick, extra chunky with the M badge here. I feel like the steering wheel telescopes a little bit further, but maybe I'm imagining things. I feel like I'm able to get into a better optimal position here. We're in Sport Individual, which has everything in the most aggressive setting. Put this into manual mode. Well, instantly, this engine has way more character than the B48.
Yeah, I see you starting to slow down on the
Again, same
corners.
powertrain as the Supra. It's so funny, the owner actually took the engine cover and swapped them. So the engine cover here is a Toyota, which is hilarious.
Disrespectful.
Now, the front end, you can feel the additional weight up front. However, because the suspension, we have adaptive dampers by the way, and we're in the stiffer setting, but because the suspension overall is far stiffer than in the 230i, you get this added responsiveness to the front end that you don't get there. So it's somewhat of a trade-off. You get more immediacy with your steering input, but you feel additional weight in the front end. It feels less willing to change directions compared to the 230i.
I wonder what cannon he's at, man. That looked a nice run. That looks look like the one I was
But
when I was in
man, this
Colorado.
engine and the stiffer suspension already makes us feel far more at home on a canyon road. Way more planted, more confidence inspiring.
Oh, push that, push that, push that. Ooh.
Now, one thing that you also need to keep in mind, wait, why is my butt burning? Why is the heated seat on? No, 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 no. Let's not do that. How did that happen? Must have accidentally pressed something. Anyways.
Yes, I was waiting for this.
The transmission here is far quicker than in the B48. And I'm not sure why that is, but BMW has made the ZF 8-speed work far better with their B58 versus their B48. It still has, it's still smooth in both, but just the immediacy and the response of the transmission whenever you hit a pad.
From my understanding, I'm sorry I keep pausing. From my understanding, though, the reason why they made the B58 like a trans and everything like that more like subtle is because one of the I forgot his name. He works for BMW. I forgot his name, but they wanted to make like a nice, perfect, like well balanced engine or something like that when they pushed this engine out. And then after they pushed it out, they realized all the improvement over the years of people putting upgrades and changing stuff over the years. They decided to come out with like a bigger design that's like better than the B58, which is the S58. So they just look at what the B58 didn't have and what it could have to, push it even further. And they made the S58. But yeah,
It's quite noticeable.
this candy is nice as fuck, though. I would love to drive this candy.
Steering here is in terms of feedback is actually pretty similar. They're both on the number side. This has a slight edge, but it's really just splitting hairs.
I had my hard drive. I would think that would be a cop or some shit. That had my hard drive.
One thing that I find funny though is the graphic, because this is a digital gauge, the actual RPM will change before the engine catches up, because a lot of manufacturers do this. They want to make you think that the engine and the transmission are more responsive than they actually are. So the graphic will show the changed RPM, and then you'll hear the sound happen a split second later. Oh yeah, you can definitely feel that weight on the nose.
Some tight corners.
surprised that they didn't increase the section width of the tire between the 230 and the M240i. You have additional weight up front, the car is heavier, and you're getting the front end to push as you take these corner entries a bit hotter. Yeah, you can even hear the tires starting to give way.
I'm surprised his back end didn't come out yet, but I mean, he's not really driving that fast. So, yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder why they didn't go with a wider section width, because they changed it in the rear, which makes sense. You have more power and such.
Yo, I said that was a nice drift right there, and as soon as I said that, bikers is driving, I would have murked them. Oh man, do I have bad decisions in my head? I was looking at this turn. I was like, oh yeah, that's a nice little turn just to back it out real quick and just drift, and that truck is right there. I'm like, oh, that's an accident. So that's a bad idea.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder why they didn't go with a wider section width, because they changed it in the rear, which makes sense. You have more power and such. But they decided not to do the same in the front. But overall, for an extra $11,000, this thing feels far more competent and capable out here. Again, apart from the understeer and that added weight in the front, it feels less willing to change direction. But I'm wondering, with an alignment and more aggressive tires, if you can overcome that. Really surprised how big of a difference this front end feel is with the weight, because this is the middle ground vehicle. The M240i is between the baby and the top tier, and yet it almost seems like an oversight. Let's give you a pull.
I don't know why he didn't punch.
Oh, this engine is so much quicker, so much more character, better sound, less turbo lag, better power delivery. Wonder if we put this into comfort.
That entertainment system is so fire, bro.
Yeah, there you go. You can still feel it's sportier than the 230i. So if comfort is the higher priority, this might not scratch that itch entirely, but I think for most people, it's going to be totally adequate for dual duty. Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to have an issue with this level of compliance if they're daily driving a sporty or dual duty vehicle. Again, the steering, you feel the added heft here, and there's a tiny bit more feedback, but again, both of these vehicles are pretty numb. Brake pedal feels a little bit more sporty with a little bit more initial bite. And the throttle response, just because the engine is peppier and has less lag, it feels more direct. But very much but definitely more similar than different. Now it's time to finish off the M2. And now it's time for the 2024 BMW G87 M2. This is also powered by a BMW straight six, but this is the S58. That's a twin turbo inline six, making 453 horsepower, 406 pound-feet of torque. Of course, made it to the ZF 8-speed automatic transmission. We have a staggered 19-inch in the front, 20-inch wheels in the rear, and a 275 section width front and 285 rear. This is PS 4S rubber. Kind of strange, only a 10mm section width difference, but getting into the interior already feels a bit more special. You got the carbon fiber. Gotta love these really crisp paddles, far sportier. Got this nice chunky steering wheel again, and right now everything is soft. You guys don't want to see that. We're gonna go into M1, and you can see the Throttle or engine and active dampers are in the middle setting. Steering and brakes are in comfort, and then we'll go to the sportiest afterwards.
That's what I
Gear
love.
selector is also different.
The gear selector, I love that one. I love that gear selector. I don't like the whole like. I hate that. I'm sorry. I really like hate that gear selector. Like I really do. I do not like that. They did a bad choice with that. Like I don't know why they put that in the fucking car.
Here now, you go to the right to get into drive or into sport, which is interesting, rather than just all the way back like you're used to.
I should have got an M2, man.
Instantly a far sharper car. Far stiffer, engine is more front and center. Big step up in power at the same weight.
God, bro.
Even in comfort, the brakes have a nice initial bite. And then when you get into it, still easy to modulate. Steering, still pretty numb. Very similar level to the M240i. Possibly even slightly more numb. I'm guessing that's the wider section width tires in the front. And the steering is even more immediate here, again. Stiffer suspension setup and tuned to be sportier. We're gonna flip this over into M2 now. Sportiest everything. Car is feeling, the body control is pretty good because it's so stiff in the setting, but it actually feels a little bit nervous, a little bit skittish in a way.
Goodness. S58 is such a cheap.
The ZF8 speed here is a lot closer to shift speed compared to the M240i. So you go 230, M240i, big jump in transmission speed. Over here, you get these more aggressive shifts and slightly faster still compared to the M240i, but not as big of a jump as going from 230 to 240 versus 240 to M2. That's a tighter gap there. Oh, buddy, stay. Do not cross the mustard. Yeah, very much on its toes. The car wants to play, which is, double-edged. In one sense, it's more fun and more engaging, where it's willing to step out on you and play in that way. But then you may feel less confident when you're pushing the car compared to the M240i. Because the M240i feels a little bit more predictable, although the communication isn't quite as immediate because it's not as stiff as this. And we're not getting that same issue in the M240i where the front end would start to wash out. I'm sure a big part of that is the wider section with tires in the front here. Again, both cars are weighing in 3,800 pounds, and both of them have a 6-cylinder in the front with additional cooling compared to the regular 230i with the B48. You're also getting a proper M engine here. More power, love the way that it builds. Even though it's turbocharged, it still encourages you. It's still very much an impressive M engine. Gone are the days of the S65 V8s naturally aspirated.
I am in love
But
with
the way
this
this
car.
thing pulls, the power delivery, the linear build, the immediacy with the throttle response, they've absolutely limited the downside with this turbocharged engine. Now on the Canyons, this is going to be the quickest, this is going to be the most competent on a technical level, but you don't feel as confident compared to an M240i. I personally enjoy a car that feels a little bit nervous. I find it exciting. It wants to dance. That's part of the fun, I think. But I can see many people opting for the M240i as a better balance point, where it is softer, it's a little bit more comfortable. There's a motorcycle accident up there I heard about.
Yeah, turn everything down, bro, just in case.
By the way, the reason why front to back is not to get into drive is that this is just stationary. So now back is upshift, front is downshift, as it should be, right? You don't want to have the reverse because you're getting pushed back by your G-force. You want to pull back to shift up. And now we're back in efficient and comfort, the softest settings. And the car still feels far more stiff than the other two, even in their softest settings, or I should say in the M240i softest settings. And that is going to be a compromise for some people for daily duty. I do also like that as you go further up the chain from 230 to M240i to M2, you get additional optionality unlocked. You get adaptive dampers, and then after the adaptive dampers from the M240i, you get these additional layers where you have Comfort Sport, Sport Plus. The steering, the brakes are all larger magnitude shifts, and that gives you a little bit more of a character change to the vehicle as you scale up and scale down. Overall, all three have their relative strengths and weaknesses. The 230i is the lightest, the most nimble, easy to change directions. It is the lightest by 300 pounds, almost 10%. The M240i finds that good balance point where it feels at home on the Canyons, it feels balanced, it doesn't feel like the power or the engine is holding it back in the same way that it does for the 230i. But it's not going to be as quick, as dedicated, not going to have that same wow factor as the M2. But the M2, you are compromising on the comfort, and you're also paying $68,000 versus the $57,000 for the M240i. So for me, I would rule out the 230i, because although I very much respect it for being so nimble, I want a more special engine. I want it to feel a little bit sportier and stiffer, and it's a bit soft. Between the M240i and the M2, it's hard for me to say. The M240i would be my pick if it was more dual duty, and I wanted more confidence on the Canyons. But if my budget allowed for an M2, the extra $11,000, then yeah, you get a more special engine here. You get a
The video is pretty much almost over. He's just giving his final thoughts. I'm just gonna tell you straight up. This is how it goes with people who even I keep referring to other cars, like when people have, let's just say, a Camaro, when you have like an SS and you go up to the L1s, whatever it is. I don't know too much about Camaros. But when you start going up to the ZL1s and stuff like that, you start going up into levels. It's kind of like BMW in a way, or like how Dodge is, like how people get the V6 and then they're like, "Oh, I want the RT. The RT is not enough. I want a Scat. The Scat is not enough. I want a red, a Hellcat. Now I want a Red Eye. Now I want a Demon." You know what I mean? How people just go up the ladder of horsepower for the car. Besides, like I know I keep saying Dodge, but besides Dodge, because I mean, you only thing you're getting from Dodge is just more horsepower. You're not the car is literally the exact same. Um, but when it comes to like other brands and stuff like that, like only one I have really have in my head is like, I mean, the Camaro, like it still looks the same. Besides like the ZL1, you start to look like a lot different and stuff like that. Then you got your the Stingrays and stuff like that. But it's like when you're going up in levels or something like that. It's like it depends on what car brand you are. Obviously, the front look and everything would change with it, but it's just what your money can afford. If that makes sense. So it's like you can get the B58, the M240i. You can get that and be 100%. Throw a fucking turbo, get an email. You're fucking gapping a lot of fucking people. A downpipe tuned with an email and a big turbo, you're gapping a lot of fucking people with that car. Not insanely a lot. I mean, you still got what the GTRs out there. You still got um the fucking I'm trying to get Supras, Mustangs. Some Mustangs built like fucking supercharged and blowers and all this crazy shit. Like you still have higher stuff out there, Stingrays and all. Like you still Corvettes. Like you still got stuff out there that will gap you. Like I don't care whether it's like I'm a BMW fan. Like this is my first BMW and I love it. Like absolutely love my car. But regardless, I know that I'm not the king of the road. Like if I'm driving down the road, I know if I see a Camaro SS that's driving by me, I don't see no freaking big ass blower. I don't hear no wee. I don't hear none of that whining shit. I'm gapping the shit out you. Period. Like I'm not even worried about it. You know what I mean? I'm not worried about it. But when certain come to certain cars, you like, you know what I mean? But it's what your money can afford in a way. So if I can afford getting the M240, like the B58, and I can upgrade that shit, and I can afford the upgrades, I'm gonna get that. If I can afford the M2, and I can afford those upgrades, you can get that too. Because the M2 has two cats. Because obviously it's twin turbo. And it's gonna cost a little bit more money for the M2 because when people make it a single turbo, you gotta do a convert and stuff like that. Like it's gonna take a little bit more money because you're going from two turbos and you're going to one, so it's gonna cost a little bit more money. I'm pretty sure. And then you got to do stuff to the exhaust as well because you're going from two exhaust pipes going down from two, turbos obviously to just having one. You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna cost a little bit more, obviously money wise, compared to getting a B58 where you put it on the downpipe. I mean, I got my downpipe for $60. No cap. I got my downpipe for $60 and I got it from a guy who his son had a couple of them in his house and his son wanted him to get rid of it, but his son never told him the price range to sell it for. And he was like, I don't know what they are. I don't know what they go to. I was like, oh, go to my car. I'll buy it. And he was like, well, 60. Well, can you do 60? I'm like, yeah. Like, this dude don't even know. People selling that shit for like 250 or 300 or some shit like that. Used. You know what I mean? So he was like, yeah, I'll take that shit. It was brand new. Took the wrapper off and all that shit. You know what I mean? That was back then before I semi shit overseas and got it flashed. You know what I mean? I was like on JB4. I just needed something to get some type of boost out of the car. You know what I mean? JB4 is the worst. Like if you have a BMW, don't get a JB4. I get it. Some people get it because they want it. Have some power. To play with this and the third. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I'd rather you just get a boost mod or MHD. Just send your shit overseas, bro. If it's a 21 and above, just send it overseas. I'm telling you, you're gonna love it. My car drives like it's fucking factory ride, like it's just factory fucking fast. Like it feels so good. But nonetheless, my conclusion, if I'm talking too much, is simply if your money can afford it, 100% you're going to get an M2. It just what it is. If you can afford an M2, you get the same price range for an M3. You might as well go for the M3. I like the M3 look a little better, but it doesn't really matter to me. It's like they both have the exact same engine. It's just hey, if the M2 is 68 and you got an M3 that's 68, same price. I mean, you can pick the M3. It's no different. You know what I mean? But um, it's just what your money can afford. But the M230, I agree with him on that. It doesn't have that much power. It's not for me. I would never get it, to be honest. I didn't even know they had a
Sharper driving
B48 or a
experience.
B whatever he said, B48 or B something. I never knew that was like a thing, to be honest, until now. But that's my thoughts. I'm gonna end this video, but let me know what y'all would do, because I would definitely, if I had the money, I'll definitely get an M2 in a heartbeat. I still want that M2, but I'm leaning towards like getting an M8 50i. That's what I'm leaning towards. And that's be in the future. I'm not getting rid of that M340. I'm keeping that, but in the future, I'm definitely going to get a M8 50. Like that's gonna be my next like just cool. But let me know what y'all think in the description down below, and I'll see y'all next time, man.